farm tour in the winter. We did a little farm tour this summer and showed everyone kind of what we had going on with our crops and the animals and everything else, and just wanted to show how things look a little different in the winter. I'm out on our pasture right now, and as you can see, we are in winter, and we've got quite a bit of snow that's covered most of the pasture, and that hasn't stopped us though. I'll walk around here a little bit from keeping the animals out on pasture, and just over here behind me you'll see that we have our little chicken coop set up. We've moved the chickens around still, even in the cold, mainly so that they're dropping their manure in different areas, and we're trying to be strategic with where they're at. We had them for a few weeks right on our compost pile, which was beneficial for them to be able to scratch through and eat a lot of the bugs and microbes that are still in the compost, and then also dropping their manure, which then helps fuel and is a good nitrogen source for the compost. However, that was in a really shady spot, and we noticed that after a few weeks of being there, our egg production was actually starting to go down. And so we just recently moved them back out here on pasture into one of the sunniest spots here. In just a little bit, the sun should be breaking through some of this fog that we've had, and we're hoping that a little more sunshine increases their egg production. You can see behind me there, Snow has come along with them, and he continues to grow and learn about keeping his safe distance with the chickens, and then also he's developed a great alert bark and lets us know anytime anything's going on around the farm. And then just further down the pasture here behind me, you can see that we've still got our yaks, and you can see the frost that we have on all the trees around. That's been with us for the last 4 or 5 days. We haven't gotten much above zero at all. It's been a lot of time below zero. And that dictates some of the projects that we have going on. We are feeding the yaks hay, and we also have a couple dozen head of bulls that we have here on the property, and we are feeding them hay right now as well. So that's keeping us busy, and you can't feed 800-pound round bales of hay on your own. You've got to use a tractor, and so just keeping the diesel engines running when it's this cold has been a battle in and of itself. But we'll move around a little bit and take you down to a few other spots, show you kind of what the gardens look like this time of year, as well as what some of the other animals are up to. All right, and here we are in our winter gardens. This is inside one of our caterpillar tunnels. It's not really a greenhouse. We call it a caterpillar tunnel. It's just greenhouse plastic that's pulled over bows, and it provides a little bit of weather protection. And what it's really doing for us, our beds are really kind of what we consider at rest right now. There's nothing growing in them. We have black plastic that we're using as a mulch covering over them, and what that's doing is it's helping to keep some of the moisture in the soil, and being both in the tunnel and covered with the plastic, it's helping it that soil not to freeze and turn into that, you know, foot deep, just hard frost that we get in other areas that aren't covered. So even when it's snowy and bitter cold outside, we've got a little bit of warmth in here, a little bit of protection from the wind, which you can hear, I'm sure. And then we're able to start planning ahead and prepping our beds for the springtime. So what we're going to do is, as we get closer to spring, we'll pull these black tarps off. We'll begin amending our soil and preparing the beds so that we can plant in them and transplant into them with crops that we start in the nursery. So even though it's, again, bitter cold outside, we're able to enjoy a little bit of the warmth that we get just with the sun shining through the greenhouse plastic. These spaces do warm up quite a bit. And then again, keeping these beds warm, moist, and covered. Covered is a really important part, because that's what allows a lot of life to continue. A lot of the worms, bugs, microbes, they thrive in dark environments, and so that's what we're trying to do, is create an environment where those microorganisms and bugs thrive, and that's beneficial to our soil. And so we'll show you more of this as the season goes on, and as we start prepping the beds and we start transplanting into them, you'll see more of what we're doing. But right now it's at rest. And outside of these tunnels, we have some garden beds where we've really done the same thing. We've still covered them. Keeping the soil covered is key to ensuring soil quality and improving it over time. And so that's the point of covering them. Of course, in here, it's not covered with a bunch of snow. Out in the field and in our other garden beds, we've got some areas that are mulched like this, some of them with cardboard, some with hay or straw, and others with the black plastic. Those all have a foot of snow on them. But in here, it's just the plastic and an opportunity for us to be planning ahead. All right, and this is our orchard in winter. Winter in the orchard is really prime time for pruning, and so that's what we're doing. We've got a lot of older trees, some of which are pretty neglected and just haven't been pruned or managed in a long time, and so we've had some pretty major pruning that we've started up on. It's kind of going to be a long process. All winter we'll be working through them, a few trees at a time. We're a little bit early right now to be starting, but I'm pruning some of the trees that are worse off right now, and then we'll get to some of the healthier trees a little bit later in winter and just before we get into springtime. Also out here in the orchard are our bees, which we can't really show you. There's not a lot to see with the bees right now. We are just simply keeping them covered, and hopefully they're staying warm through this cold weather that we've had. And we'll get into them once the temperatures start getting up consistently above 65, 70 degrees. That's when we will take our first look in with the bees again and see how they're doing. We do have a few more colonies that we're looking forward to getting this year, and expanding our apiary operations, and hoping that this pruning that we're starting on the fruit trees will result in better fruit and a little easier fruit to harvest when the trees aren't quite so high up in the air. So, as they are across all of the northern hemisphere this time of year, days are a little short, and that sometimes means that we get to do chores in the dark, like going out and closing up the hens and making sure snow's fed. But it's always pretty on these clear winter nights to see the stars and see the homestead all lit up at night. So that's what the farm is in the winter. We hope you guys enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing you some